Hey everybody, it's me, Mr. Funnyman. Welcome back to another video. Now, as you can already tell, my voice is not as energetic, and I'm not bouncing around. And if you're socially aware enough, not socially, but mentally aware, you'll notice I'm playing Minecraft. Now, guys, I want to say, this is not going to be a normal video. Not in the slightest. No, actually, today's video is going to be different than just playing games. You see, in today's video, guys, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to expand my YouTube channel. As y'all know, I mainly do video games, and I play with friends, or I'll play on my own, and I'll just do things, I'll make jokes and whatnot, and I'll be funny, or try to at least, or I'll just have a good time, you know? Because who doesn't like having a good time? Honestly. And it's not bad, guys, you know? It's not bad to want to be happy. But I get the feeling that I drag the gameplay idea. And I thought, what could I do to make my channel more appealing? And what other than dipping into other types of content, including reaction videos and, well, story times. So today in this video, guys, I'm going to give you all a story about myself, like personality, who I am, and the side of me that y'all don't really see because of the people I hang out with and me having to hide who I am, but we'll get into that. So, we can start by going into the beginning. You see, when I was younger, and when I say younger, I mean around the ages of like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all those ages. Around that time, guys, I was, wow, that is, around that time, I, tend to be, more of a crybaby, as you would put it. Oh, hello. And when I say I was a crybaby, guys, I mean I didn't grow up like a lot of other boys. I was kind of babied most of my life from my grandparents and my mother. So I wasn't used to being brave. I wasn't used to doing what all the other kids did by getting into fights and fighting people and getting into working out and everything, which led to me getting bullied. And while I was younger, the bullying started off with me mostly getting bullied just because of the way I acted. At that time, guys, I wasn't an ordinary weird kid. I was, by weird kid at that time, guys, I was more of a loud and annoying weird kid. As in, nobody wanted to really hang out with me because I was loud, I was weird, I was annoying, and I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to be appropriate. And that led to me getting picked on. And it started in kindergarten when I was 5. And I remember times when I was just slapped, when I was called names. Everybody would pick on me because they knew I couldn't defend myself. And is that my fault? Yes. 100% that is my fault. I should have known to fight back and argue with them and win arguments and everything. But because I never did that, they saw me as an easy target, because what the most I would do was just tell on them. And after telling on them, not really much would happen to me. At the most, they'd get yelled at, but then everybody would be mad at me again. That led to me having a hard time making friends, as if it wasn't hard enough. So I wasn't used to the idea that I had to be better. I had to be smarter. I had to be funnier. I didn't do any of that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm playing a game as I talk, and I get a little like mixed in with everything. And I'm sorry about that. I kind of forget what I'm saying and I repeat stuff. That's my bad, guys. But anyway, basically, I didn't grow out of it. I didn't grow out of the way I acted. And as much as, you know, I wish I did, it didn't stop as much as I grew up. This eventually led on to what introduced me to the internet. When I was introduced to the internet, that's when I started discovering things that maybe some I shouldn't have been interested in at my age. But some things that, you know, a lot of kids knew during those days. Because you see, I was born in 2010. What that meant was, at that time, I was really into things like FNAF. When I got into FNAF, I was overly obsessed with it. I would watch the Gmod videos, the El Hugany musicals, the Markiplier gameplays, the little animations, the fan music, the Living Tombstone songs. All of that was no limit to my mind. I knew everything because I was obsessed. I knew the lore. I knew the OCs of people. And what that had me do was I got so obsessed with it that I would do things that, well, not normal kids would do. You see, I would end up pretending to run around in the school hallways, pretending to be like I was a part of Five Nights at Freddy's. That was a real thing I did. I would run around and I would pretend to jump scare people, and I would basically just embarrass myself horribly. I would go around and pretend I was just Freddy or Purple Guy, Jason Voorhees, all these people, and I would talk to myself. And I grew up, while growing up, even since I was younger, and I still do it to this day, I would randomly just go off, like I would stop focusing, I would just drift off and draw in the air with my finger, and people noticed that, they took note of it, and that became a way people were recognizing me, was by the weird things I did. Friends I made in the future, people knew me as the kid that drew in the air, the kid that was weird, and I couldn't do anything to change it. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, this is like not even iceberg level bad. There's kids that go worse through this, worse bullying and everything. I haven't even gotten in too deep. And I wouldn't say my experience is the worst. There's things I can't say right now because I'm a minor and I don't want to get stuff taken down, and I've got personal family issues, and I don't want my family to hear what I have to say, and so a lot of things will have to wait until I'm 18 to bring out. But I'm just kind of scratching the surface, guys. But anyway, I digress. So by going back, or going a little bit forward, I slowly became worse. And when I say I became worse, I mean I had become more into things like Cuphead when it came out. I became more into depression, because at that time I didn't know I didn't know depression was like an actual like thing you could have like medically. I thought it was just something you could say you had because you were just, oh, I'm so sad. That's what I used to think depression was. And I remember, I mean, to be fair, I did have things in my life to be depressed about. And it has to do more with my family and school, and but honestly, remember, looking back, I want to sit here and say I only said I was depressed because I wanted to be, because I thought it was cool to be edgy and stuff, but really looking into it now, I see little things that might have been like, yeah, even if it was being poserish, me being depressed would have, if it didn't happen then, it would have happened in the future. And while I've never been medically said to be depressed, I've always had little ideas that I might be. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. I mean, I have to actually. So once I reached about first or second grade, I think, one of those, I started to I started to really get into it, essentially. And that led to me in school, when things didn't go my way, I would end up yelling and screaming that I wanted to harm myself, that I wanted to take my own life. With that, it basically created a thing in me where slowly in time, what started off as me saying things for attention, it slowly formed into me realizing like, hey, I think I'm actually actively feeling this way and I don't know what to do about it. And that became more knowable when even my drawing started to alert teachers. And I remember one instance where me and my cousin, Dreamy Vaults, actually, because we used to go to school together, all the way up to 3rd grade, we were working together to write a comic where Cuphead, had taken his own life. It's weird, I know. But, I was drawing it instead of doing my test in school, because at that time, my whole family didn't know I had ADHD. So this all kind of pieces together where I had a learning disorder and my grades are bad. Oh, I'll get into that too later. But anyway, I like I was saying, my teacher saw me. She saw me drawing and she snatched it up. And when she saw what it was that I was drawing, she just went quiet. She looked me in the eyes and she asked me, "Is this how you feel?" And I don't know what it was in me that made me say it, but I started crying and I told her yes. That was exactly how I was feeling. Looking back, I cannot tell you if I was saying that because I was scared or if I was really feeling that way. A lot of bad things happened to me when I was younger. So when I say I can't verify 100% how I felt in that moment, I honestly do mean that. Because there's plenty of things that I could base myself off, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's get back. I keep on drifting off and talking about random things. So basically, um, I where was I? Oh yeah, I go to the counselor, and that's when I start getting in trouble by my parents because the school now is taking notice of the way I feel, and that alerts my counselors, and that just starts up normal visits to the counselor. And my parents are worried, telling me that if I keep saying things like that, CPS will take me away. And I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't know what CPS was. I didn't know. I didn't know any better. So it continued on, and I would get sent to the counselor for the littlest things, or the littlest things or the biggest things. As in, biggest things, they were tantrums where I would yell about my life and how much I hate it and I'm gonna hurt myself. Stretching towards things where I would get taken to the counselors as little as talking about Five Nights at Freddy's lore or Bendy and the Ink Machine. So that led to me really having no friends at that point, and it honestly sucked. It sucked having no one like you because everyone thought they thought you were weird. It's not even something where I can say, oh, they thought I was insane. No, they just thought I was weird. They thought I was plain weird. And it hurts to think about, knowing that I ruined my childhood the way I acted. Let's go to 3rd grade. My 3rd grade was the time where I had made 2 friends. My 2 real friends, at least. My first ever friend, I met him in kindergarten, but he had moved grades and he was gone. By this grade, I met my 2 friends, Giselle and Isaiah. They were really cool because they were the first people that actually ever enjoyed talking to me and weren't just my friend because of my cousin's social status, or they wanted to get closer to my cousin, or the fact that they just felt bad. They were genuinely happy to be my friend. What did that sound? Anyway, basically, um, sorry guys, I keep getting there's like a little static sound. I'm trying to look for a portal. Anyway, basically, I'm just going back towards the village. I'm an idiot. Basically, what I was saying was, that... Oh? Oh no, there's another village. Basically what I was saying is, during that same school year, that was also when I got my first ever crush. And I don't want to say her name, so I'm just gonna say her name was... we'll go Kelly. Her name was Kelly. Kelly was different because I liked her only because I thought she was the most prettiest girl I had ever seen in my life. I don't know what it was. From the things I remember about her, I remember she had like bushy eyebrows and she always looked mad. But to me at that time, I thought that was adorable. And whenever I would go to talk to her, I wasn't good at it, so instead, I did something that really did not help my social status at all. Is this the same village? And what that was I would pick on her. It is. I would pick on her a lot, and I would wonder why she didn't like talking to me. I would call her things like man eyebrows, or I'd call her zombie girl. And that made her not want to talk to me, and that made my own friends kind of like, hey, dude, like, bro, come on. If you like her, just stop picking on her. But I didn't know how to flirt. I didn't know how to do any of that, so I just went with what I could. So, as a crush would, she stayed in my mind for years, honestly. I think it was up until 5th grade when I stopped thinking about her. And the reason I mention her is because she's going to be important in the future. I don't know whether it'd be this video she'll be important or another video, but we'll eventually get back into her. I just want her existence to be known. Anyway, if by 4th grade, I had moved out of my current school. Now, my current school was a school district that was in a rather poor area. It was ghetto, and it wasn't really a suitable school for someone, you know, especially of my kind, because I was weird and I was easy bully target. And honestly, people in those areas, not specific groups of people, I'm not gonna sit here, I mean just kids that don't have respect in general will treat you like the worst garbage in those areas, because it's a ghetto area. And what happened was, when I went to that new school, they didn't appreciate the weird kid stuff either. I had still not let go of the whole depression thing. So that meant that even in a new district, people were going to know me as the weird kid once again. What? So now, in this new school, which was in fact a upgrade from my old district. It was, but it did not make the bullying stop. It really took only about 4 days of being there until people started realizing, like, yeah, this kid is a quiet kid. Because back then, I wasn't quiet. Back then, I was weird, but I wasn't quiet. Because as I said, I was annoying. And now, I was completely quiet because I was surrounded by kids I didn't know. I didn't have my cousin there anymore. I didn't have my friends. I was alone. Completely alone. In this new scary area where there's kids that are a lot smarter than me, a lot stronger, that did sports, and I didn't do any of that. I wasn't into any of that. I mean, dude, like, at this time, I would literally sing FNAF songs in my parents' car, dude. Like, I didn't have any athletic thing in me. So, what really upgraded my quiet kid status was when I had my first tantrum there, which was in my math class, because we would get these conduct marks. And one day I got one, and I was so scared of what my family would say that I threw the biggest tantrum in front of my whole class, and I hadn't done that in a while. Well, as one would know, this got my parents emailed, and it got me sent to the counselor, and that's when it started all over again. Day after day, I'd be in the counselor. And at this time, nobody would talk to me anymore. Nobody. I had one friend, and me and him would barely talk. Because he didn't really want to be seen with me. And sure, there were kids I could have been friends with. A lot of other weird kids, but a lot of them, they weren't into the same things as I were. I was into Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy and the Ink Machine, but honestly, I would constantly get into phases where I would be so into something that I would freaking wish I could do it in real life. But then like a week later, I'm like, oh, I'm into this now. And I mean, for one time, I was into the Bendy and the Ink Machine that I had a Bendy and the Ink Machine themed birthday. But on the day of my birthday, I just stopped being into it, and I was like, I wish I had a FNAF cake instead. Things like that. And that should have been immediate signs of ADHD at that time, but my parents honestly just believed that I had something worse. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying they thought I had something more severe, like autism. And that was actually a constant theme that people thought I was autistic. Because that's like during that grade of 4th and 5th grade, that's when everyone started learning what disabilities were. And when everyone found out that autism makes you act weird or whatever they say, that's when everybody was like, oh, hey, Evan must have autism. And that became a big joke on me, was that I was autistic. A lot of my friends that I met in 5th grade, like Slim Up, he wasn't there to see this happen because most of the time it would happen when I was alone. I'd be alone in class, sitting on my own, talking to myself and drawing in the air, and then people would come up to me and ask me if I'm autistic, or they'd come up to me and say stuff like, oh, she likes you, or little things like that is really, they're lying. They're just being rude. And it hurts because you can't do anything about it because you don't know how to defend yourself. So you just have to let people talk about you the way they want. So I'd say this lasted up until 6th grade, and 6th grade was when things got really bad. See, before I was a quiet kid, but now in 6th grade I was so much more. I was a quiet kid, weird kid, but now I actually had time. I had little instances where I didn't have to be the weird kid. I would be in classes with my friends, and I would be hanging out. I'd be able to talk. But little did I know that the happiness wouldn't last very long. At that time, and at that time count might be in the thousands now. But during this time, people started to notice, like, hey, Evan's back. He's talking. But they didn't forget. And they would constantly remind me of how I acted and how I was. And during this time, yes, I was still into things like Undertale and Five Nights at Freddy's and all that stuff. And I'm just saying Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale because I'm just trying to say the bare minimum. I mean, I was obsessed with a lot of things, so I'm just saying the things that people are used to. Like, I was into stuff like Sonic Zombies or weird things, and especially a lot of things I should not have been watching at my age. like Vanos Crew and all that. But Vanos Crew wasn't really weird. But it was like, I was just watching YouTubers I shouldn't, or watching videos. But I'm just saying all this little stuff because I don't want to be called a poser. Because I will die on the bridge that I am not a LARPer. I will die on that bridge. But anyway. But now I was actually able to restrain it and hide what I was into. Now I wasn't walking around with a Five Nights at Freddy's backpack or pretending to be Sans in the middle of class, you know? Now I wasn't pretending that I was Jason Voorhees and saying I'm gonna murder or I'm gonna do stuff to my classmates. We'll say that to be safe, just to be safe. But when they started to take note how I was in gym class, just like they did when I was younger, I got picked on so severely that I would just go into a bathroom or I would just sit somewhere alone and I would just cry. I would cry and the PE teachers would just let me. They would, because they didn't want to say anything or do anything about it because they knew they couldn't. It got so bad that even the teachers started going along with the joke. I want you to picture what it's like as a young kid. And even the teachers are laughing at you. Because you can't run. Because you can't make friends. And because you can't be normal. And I did fail to mention that when COVID happened, because we were locked in so much, that I had gained weight. See, growing up, I was... How are you back? I was skinny. I was a skinny little kid, and even then I didn't know how to run. But now, I was chubby. I was chubby, and everybody just took note of that, and that was their biggest thing to use against me, was that I was fat. I'd get made fun of for the littlest things, from making up my Blookit password for a future football player as a joke, and then everybody saying, think again, or you're too fat, or yeah, buddy, sure. Things like that that really just take a toll on you. And that lasted all the way up until 8th grade. By 8th grade, I started meeting new people. People that were into the same things as me. But I don't know if there's like a weird meter and that I maybe went too far off the scale, because even the people that were into the same things as me didn't want to hang out with me after a certain time. I don't know whether it was my personality or maybe I did something to make them uncomfortable, or maybe my jokes were offensive. I don't know. But what I do know is that when I lost certain friends in 8th grade, at the same time I lost my grandfather, that I had reached my absolute point. I had reached my limit. My parents were divorced. My grandfather passed away. The bullying became more severe. And I started to do things like attempt. Not only that, I started stress eating. That led to more weight gain. Due to more weight gain, started more bullying. And I have never been overweight where I look like, you know, a giant ball. And that's no hate to any overweight people. I had only been at the point where I was just kind of chubby. I have that I have like a sort of Gideon build, but slimmer. Like a slimmer Gideon build, essentially. If you can picture that. But because I was stress eating, I didn't lose weight. I wanted to, but I just did not have. I didn't have the determination to do it because what was there to do it for? I wasn't gonna find love. I wasn't gonna make more friends. I wasn't gonna stop being the weird kid. So, what was the point? Right? Well, by high school, I really had met the biggest enemy of them all. When I reached high school, not only was I picked on for the way I looked or the way I acted because I was quiet, I was drawing in the air, but I was also made fun of for the fact that I did talk. Even when I had made a couple friends, when I tried to at least, I would get made fun of for talking. People that were used to me being quiet didn't appreciate that I was talkative and I was becoming better and I was able to talk now. And even during this time, I had very much been able to hide every little thing about myself. Nobody knew anymore that I was a weird kid. Nobody would ever know. I was in a new school, so everything had reset. And now I would be able to maybe make a fresh start, but I couldn't do it because of I had social anxiety. And I actually did. I am not self-diagnosing. My I guess doctor, I don't know what you call them, the person that is in charge of like my ADHD or whatnot, she diagnosed me with anxiety. I don't take meds for it, but it's just like, oh yeah, your son does have it, but we're not gonna give him meds for it because it's not severe, I guess. But it's like, I get anxiety bad enough where it's to the point where I cry when I'm too pressured, essentially, or like if I'm too pressured to socialize, or I'm too pressured to do anything. Not like anything, I mean anything socially, like partner up with a girl or partner up with some randoms, and I'll end up hurting myself, like because I'm digging my nails into my legs or into my thighs or something like that, and that would lead to me just not being able to make any friends at all, which really honestly sucked so badly. Eventually I did meet someone that I did have a lot in common with, but because I was the person I was, I didn't know how to act normal around people, and I was so happy to have finally made a friend that I had ended up weirding them out, and we stopped being friends. And I will tell that story some other day because that is too personal, and I still know that person, and I don't want to get too into it because I don't want to make them look bad, and I don't want to talk about them in a negative way or anybody, you know. So I just want to let it be known that I ruined a good what could have been a good friendship. But anyway, basically that only scratches the surface of my childhood. There's so much more I could tell y'all. So much more I may have forgotten, but most of what I wish I could tell you all, I cannot tell you. Because of personal issues, because of family issues, and respect for my family, that I don't want to tell you what happened to me as a kid, but a lot of things did. And you may be able to come up with it on your own or think of it. Maybe I don't know. I don't mind if anyone sees this. I don't mind if you want to go in the comments and talk about yourselves. I will read it and I will try to respond to it. I mean, I will 100%. I'm not going to say I'll try. Like I will. If anyone actually does, I 100% will respond to it. And I'm doing this because I just felt like maybe I should share stuff with y'all about myself. And maybe that would make the content better if y'all got to know me more. And it seems fun talking about my life, even the bad things. But anyway, I'll stop the video here. And I hope you all have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. Amazing week. And because we're entering school years, an amazing school year. So, I hope you all do great. You all are blessed. And everything goes perfect for y'all. This survival world I've been playing will be the survival world I play on from now on. Whenever I play, whenever I do rants or I do story times or Q&As, anything like that, this is where I'll be playing. If you want to know the mod, I'll put it in the description. As you can see, I was no clipping. There's more dimensions, but I was only getting the industrial ones. But yeah. So thank you guys for watching. And if y'all want to see more, or if y'all have any questions or anything y'all like to say, or any points you'd like to point out, just comment down below. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.